Global warming's a myth. That's why my windows are steaming up from the f***ing outside. What the f*** is going on? Yes, I know we'll skip some steps, but, well, I was getting a bit frustrated. That being said, this side is now done, and the reasons I have raced ahead and done it are twofold. First up, this is taking way longer than it should, and I wanted to just get this kind of checked off the list. And secondly, I've got a funny feeling you're still going to get to see how to do this, because here's the other side. And there's the nick that's in. So in this Corrector episode, which still involves a big white Skyline, I'm going to see if I'm ever going to get this finished. Step one, let's get the wing off. So how's your day going? Probably better than mine, because as you probably gathered, we have a substantial amount of rust again on this side. However, we don't have the problems with the floor or the A-pillar, or from what I can gather, anything under here. That's a relief. However, this is still not going to be easy. The reason for that being, probably going to have to do a small patch weld in the floor in this wee hole here, which isn't the worst. The worst bit is the loom that's sitting right behind where I need to weld. So this is all coming back off the ramp, so I can get the door open and dig all the loom out, and then put it back in the ramp and start the repair. Yay! Yeah, we skipped a lot of steps there. That's because I've done this already. What we've got to here is where the other floor was and all that repair work on the other side. So now I can start to show you the repair. Remember, the one that you didn't get to see? So as we saw, I took a cardboard template of the outside profile of what I've got left of the sill. I've then projected in about 15 millimeters all the way to where I would have thought the original panel, which is completely rotted out, would sit. And that's left me with a profile roughly like this. Now obviously this has got massive overhangs on the top and the bottom, but I'm probably going to have that for more or less the duration of what I'm going to do with this until I am happy to trim them off. So as you can see, this is why I wanted this flat panel all along here. That's the butt surface for this, and that allows me to see, once it's lined up, what I need to remove. Now, I have got a bit more of a stroke of luck with this side that I didn't have on the other, which is that I have all of this top section. Now whilst that gives me a profile to work to, it actually doesn't really help me much, because the last time I had a nice flat surface here to just get creative with. What I have in this circumstance is something a bit more convoluted that I'm going to have to form and match. But that's okay. This is the example that we're doing, so let's do that. My first bend line is going to be around about this point, because as you can see, this actually tapers in at this point before it does a full bifter curve and touches this inner panel right there. So that's going to be our first cut line. that's basically it. Like I said, it's not particularly hard, but it is quite a long-winded and convoluted process. So we have made sure that whatever we're doing, we have a baseline at the bottom. That's why I kept that, and I made sure that as it tucked up to the side, all of that was a flat line. And then, having cut these grooves in here, we formed up the top section to come around and touch here. Once you've got that done, and you've tacked that in place, the rest of it's just filling in the gaps. Obviously though, there's a good chance to warp this. So when I was doing the spot welds in to make sure that this gap was all filled, taking our time, making sure we give everything time to cool down, and keeping all of this section as much as possible clamped in the vise to stop any bending and warping on the go. So the next step for this is as follows. Understandably, we don't have a perfectly formed match in all of this, so I'm going to have to just chap and bend and form. For example, see this bit here, that's not getting kept. We're going to just pull that out. That'll all get spot welded in fine. We'll do a wee seam weld there. We'll do a wee seam weld in here once that's tidied up. And the rest of all of this will get more or less spot welded in, as per OEM. The last challenge will be this bit though. Now remember, I've got a lot of excess that's hidden in behind this sill. What I'm going to do here is draw a line down here, take all of this back off, cut grooves in, measure the depth that this needs to go to, form these out a bit, trim them to that depth, and then that's going to be the lip that I'm going to use. And we're just going to tuck in, well, I think I'm going to trim all this rusty old crap off from the original sill. We're just going to tuck it in behind, stitch weld all the way around so that it's all on it, and that'll be us done. Once this is off and we've done all the last of the cutting and shaping, I'm going to get the etch primer on the back of this just to give it some protection. Bat it on, etch prime in the front, and you'll notice as well I've started to sort of scrape off all of this old seam seal that's crumbled. We'll flatten this down with a wire brush as well, get it all bare metal, get it back with etch primer 2. Then once we've done all that, we'll move on to the seam sealy stage, aka hiding all of my sins. Okay, so we're on to the last bit of welding, which is exciting.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
But also perilous, because this is going to go one of two ways. I'm either going to win a watch taking this one bracket off, and we only need to do a repair here, or this bolt here is going to ping, and I'm going to have misery. Sorry, correction, this bolt has already pung. This bolt I'm really worried about, because if that goes, we're going to have to put in more metal here, and that's a problem because the fuel tank's next to it. So, yeah, let's say a prayer to the car gods. big hammer stick of justice and the wire wheel of truth, we have managed to uncover exactly what I suspected. I'm going to have to do 2 patch repairs. However, the magnitude of these 2 patch repairs is significantly more than I thought it would be, and I will demonstrate that now. Our hole in the back is a full bifter hole, basically everything that goes into the sill channel, so that'll all need to be capped off. The problem I've got is this bit here is going to need a wee repair as well, so that'll be an additional, but it's not the end of the world because it's very easily to access. The problem though is round about here, so I knew I was going to have to do a repair on this. However, the distance up that I'm going to have to try and get a weld on does cause me problems with the subframe involved. However, if I cut this sort of smartly enough, I might be able to get the welder inside and do the weld repair from this angle. But the only way I'm going to know that is to get the grinder of victory out and establish exactly where that line's going to be. So this has escalated quite a bit, so much so that I'm getting the fear that this entire subframe might have to come off. You'll see that I've got a lot of welding in here and it's quite high up into this gap. Now the problem I'm going to have there is I can't get a welding gun up into that gap very easily. So I'm like, oh, that might need the removal of the subframe. However, I might have a Hail Mary here because having looked on the subframe, there is a detachable damper here. And if I can get that off, it might just give me the clearance I need to not have to deal with removing the entire subframe. Given that this is a 25-year-old Japanese car, we are being very, very generous with our application of any form of penetrant. There we go. I think we've got a winner.
I don't know the half of what you made my mind go crazy over you. The stories in my head left open-ended. Oh, I'm missing the way you keep me second guessing. As the time runs dry, my feelings high like a storm exposed from a lightning strike. I hide. As the time runs dry, my feelings high like a storm exposed from a lightning strike. I hide.
Voila! One rust-free Skyline. That did not take a small amount of time. However, it's done, that's the main thing. Now, yes, the wings are still off and there's still a bit of tidying to do, but it's literally not my problem anymore because the owner of the car can do that. I've done the major guts of the welding. So that's been a pretty mountainous deck corrector series rather than episode. But I'm glad to say I am now officially done with welding up rusty cars for a while.
Cab ride,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, it was a great cab ride. You don't see cabs like that too often, you know.
Or am I? Until next week, guys, drive safe. We'll do a wee seam. Oh, fucking focus, you